start by saying, obviously, Happy Father's Day.
Oh, thank you, Sonny.
Yeah. And I got to say, real quick, you may not even realize this, but one of the best things about having you as a dad was like you were just always behind me in anything I did, which some of my crazy things that I did, I don't know how you were supportive of, but one of them was that around the age of 12, 13, I was getting into all kinds of different music, and I would make these mixtapes of all the songs I liked, which I would do like top tens of, and I would make you listen in the car. And some of it, I'm sure you didn't like, because I mean, I even probably had some rap music sometimes. But that was the beginning of Johnny Radio, which for those who don't know, I have a channel called Johnny Radio where I do top fives of music and album reviews and stuff, which you should check out, by the way. But so yeah, Johnny Radio wouldn't exist without you.
Oh, thank you. And
So,
it was probably payback for all the stuff that I used to make you listen to when you were 8, 9, and 10.
no, it was cool, like listening to soundtracks and stuff. That definitely opened my mind to different types of music. So good stuff. So now, top 5 father and son movies. This is going to be interesting.
Yes, very interesting. I decided not to go with some of the obvious because we already did them in past movies, so I didn't want to repeat them again.
Okay. So now I know a couple that won't be on your list.
Yeah, so there was at least 2.
Uh-huh. Yep. Which
One
I think those 2 are on mine.
No, one of them went because I was the one that did the
Okay.
Lion in Winter.
Oh, okay.
So that one won't be on. I'm not going to say what the other one is because I'm pretty sure you put it on yours.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. Yeah, we may have like none in common then. It's going to be
No,
interesting.
I think there's one in common.
Okay. Well,
It's probably the number one.
all right. Or we'll see. Do you want to start or should I start?
Uh, I'll start.
Okay.
So the first one was, and I'm pretty sure you didn't see this one either, Ivanhoe, 1952 movie.
No, I have not seen Ivanhoe.
Yeah, it was starring, I can never remember, Robert Taylor,
Okay.
no, Elizabeth Taylor,
Oh, okay. Pre-surgery.
yeah, and Robert Taylor, actually, yeah.
Oh, all right.
So I was right, unless I screwed up my little cheat sheet here. But
Yeah.
anyway, so the thing is, Ivanhoe was a Saxon
Mm-hmm.
that was with Richard III during the Richard I during the Crusades.
Okay.
And his father, who was like a Saxon lord, he
Mm-hmm.
disowned him
Yeah.
because he was upset that his son went to the Crusades and was fighting for the Normans, King
Mm-hmm.
Richard. And the other thing was that Cedric had this female Rowena as his ward, and they were in love with each other. And he had Rowena set aside to marry a Saxon lord who was actually in line to become king,
Yeah.
Saxons, which would upset the whole thing with the Normans and that. So
Right.
he disowned them. So the whole thing was Ivanhoe did look like all these things to try to get back in his father's graces again.
Okay, got.
Actions. He wasn't proving to do that, but because of all the circumstances that we're having in the movie, uh, it wound up that he would be back in his father's graces again. But the movie was cool because it not only had Ivanhoe in it, Richard III,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Richard III. Why do I keep saying that? Richard the First.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and John,
Mm-hmm.
Prince John,
Right.
Robin Hood.
Okay.
Everybody was in the movie.
Everybody from Defender of the Crown.
And it was based on a novel by Sir Walter Scott.
Very cool. Yeah, you just made me think of something that I guess could have counted on this list probably, even though it was more of a side story of Braveheart, the father and son, the king and the prince, the weak prince, who that was kind of a funny little like side story to the main thing of
Yeah, who
Braveheart.
became Edward II
Right.
and lost to the Scots.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you really start thinking about father and sons in movies, there's a lot more than you would think. I mean, there were some I didn't even think of when I started Googling. But so my number five is Nebraska,
Yeah, I wouldn't
which
even have thought about Nebraska. I don't think
yeah,
I saw that movie, actually.
really okay. It's Bruce Dern, and this came out I want to say like 2013, so it's pretty recent. And it's directed by Alexander Payne, who's done a lot of other really good movies. But the main story is a father and son relationship about Bruce Dern. He's older, obviously, and he's kind of losing it, and he thinks he won the lottery, so he wants to travel to Nebraska to get his winnings, and everyone knows he didn't really win. But his son, played by Will Forte from Saturday Night Live, um, just entertains him and goes with him, and it becomes like a real kind of heartwarming story about where they get to know each other kind of for the first time. And it's a really funny movie. I mean, Bruce Dern's always great, but I would say it's probably one of his best performances. He was nominated for Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, I think.
Yeah, cool.
So if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a black and white movie too,
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
I definitely didn't see it. Yeah, if I can find it, I'll check it out.
All right, cool. All right, this is interesting
If
so
I can
far.
remember the name of the title. I'll probably go, oh, it's a state, and then later on I'll be looking for Oklahoma or something.
Yeah, right. All right, so what's your number four?
My number four, National Treasure Book of Secrets.
Oh my God, seriously?
Yeah,
Uh,
I
that's funny.
picked the sequel over the first one because there was more father son in the second one. Actually, it was.
Yeah.
It started with well, it'd be Nicolas Cage's great great grandfather.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember. It was one of them, great grandfather, who during the Civil War,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the Civil War, actually, uh, somebody came to him to figure out a cipher,
Uh-huh.
and it winds up that it was the day of the Lincoln assassination with John Wilkes Booth.
Right.
So Ed Harris like plays the so-called villain in the thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like his great grandfather that was involved in the thing. So his whole thing was that he was accusing uh, Cage's great great grandfather of being a traitor,
Mm-hmm.
rather than because he like burned the cipher because when he found out what it was, uh, so that the bad guys wouldn't have it, right?
Yeah.
But Harris twisted it around.
Right.
Now Cage has got to enlist his father for help again.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was, and they were like in the movie a lot more than what they were in the first one.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I didn't see that one. So, but yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So you really dug those National Treasure movies, I guess. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, because we kept playing it for the grandkids. So
Yeah. Yeah. They're fun.
yeah,
Well, that's cool. So my number four is one that definitely will not be on your list. It's The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
no, I've never seen that.
So it's a Wes Anderson movie that Bill Murray plays the main character, Steve Zissou, who's like a Jacques Cousteau kind of explorer, and Owen Wilson plays his long lost son that's looking for him. So this is again another movie where the the plot actually does revolve around the father son relationship, but it's a like any Wes Anderson movie, it's a little out there and wacky and just weird. But I think it's hilarious, and actually the effects are really cool. They use a lot of stop animation for some of these weird sea creatures that don't exist. And it's really funny how they kind of spoof Jacques Cousteau's documentary style movies within it. And yeah, it's one of my favorite Wes Anderson movies, probably my second favorite. So,
Okay.
and Bill Murray,
Yeah, I
you
know
gotta love him.
you're big on Bill Murray movies.
Yeah.
I'm more into Bill Murray when he plays mostly his comedy things.
Yeah, well, and this is primarily a comedy movie. It does have some drama in it, but yeah, it's definitely out there.
Yeah, I was thinking of another Bill Murray movie. He wasn't really the father, but he had this relationship with this kid. Uh, and I can't remember.
Oh, Saint Vincent.
Yeah,
That's
same.
a great movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking about that one, but then that was like stretching it because yeah,
Right.
he
Yeah,
was.
I thought of that too because he was, yeah, like a father figure basically. But yeah, it doesn't count.
Well, good. Well, good thing I didn't put it on there.
Excellent choice though. So what's your number three?
My number three, and I'm sure you don't have it, or maybe you would, is Big Fish.
Oh wow. Okay. No, I don't have that on my list, but that was a good one.
Yeah, and
Good
so
choice.
it's a Tim Burton movie.
Mm-hmm.
Albert Finney is in it,
Yep.
and the story is that uh, he's always told his son these huge tales. And the
Right.
big fish part comes in, even right at the beginning where his son's getting married and he's telling his big fish story, where he was getting married, but this big fish
Mm-hmm.
that he was always trying to catch, and he swallowed the wedding ring, the engagement ring that he was going to give. Uh,
Right.
so he had to wrestle the big fish
Yep.
and made him cough up the ring so that
Yeah.
he was close to his wife.
Yeah, yeah. I remember this now. I've only seen the movie once actually, but yeah, it's a really good kind of hidden gem Tim Burton movie with
Yeah,
a lot of good actors aside from Albert Finney. Like, doesn't Ewan McGregor play the younger version of him?
yeah, it plays a younger version of him. So like
Yeah.
when his son now and now Albert Finney is like dying of cancer and stuff. So
Right.
now his son is trying to find out if any of his stories are true.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it's flashing back to,
Right.
uh, to Ewan McGregor playing the young Albert Finney. So you see these stories, but they're still outlandish.
Oh yeah, and then you
Yeah,
got like Danny DeVito playing the
yeah,
in the circus or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and Billy Crudup plays the son. He's really good in
And
most
actually, I
movies.
didn't remember it too well,
Hmm.
so I watched it again like 5 days ago, and I just did a thing on Letterbox on it.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll check
Yeah,
out your review.
yeah.
Sweet.
I knew I saw it before. I saw it like when it first came out.
Yeah, yeah, I think I did
I
too
didn't
around that time.
remember the details too far.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out again too. That's a good one. Yeah, cool. This is a very eclectic list so far.
Yes, it is so far.
So, all right. So my number three is one that you probably left off for the reasons you mentioned earlier. It's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Right.
Yep. But yeah, so it was on our top five Spielberg list. But yeah, I couldn't not put this on because just the chemistry between Harrison Ford and Sean Connery
I know.
is top notch.
I was dying to put it on the list, and then I go, no, I'm not going to put it on because we
Yeah.
already had it on another top five.
Well, hopefully it'll slip into our combined list with it being in my number three because I think it deserves the mention because I mean the casting decision was brilliant. Whoever thought of it. But I know the story is like Spielberg said only James Bond could play Indiana Jones's father, and I thought it exceeded expectations. Actually, their comedic chops together was great. Like
Yeah.
when he knocks over the candle and they're tied together in the chair, and he's like going back and forth. What? The room's on fire. You know.
Or when Jones, Indiana, goes through the window,
Yeah.
the first time that they see each other in a long time.
Right.
What are you doing here? Well, what are you doing?
And the whole thing, Junior, that
Yeah,
he calls him the
Junior.
whole movie.
Yeah,
And you find out Indiana was named after the dog.
yeah, the dogs. Indy's the dog's day.
So great. But then, you had that real kind of drama behind it too, where they never really connected because the dad was always busy hunting the grail. And then they really bond over it, which is cool.
Yeah. It was the thing that bonded them together,
Yeah.
like you just said. Yeah, it was great.
Yep. All right, cool. So we are
Yeah,
at,
I figured you would have it on there,
yeah,
so this way we could have more different things.
exactly. That makes sense.
And probably the other one is going to be your number two.
You know me very well, but we'll see. So what's your number two?
My number two is Family Business.
Family. Oh, okay. That's another Sean Connery movie, right?
Yeah, Sean Connery, Matthew Broderick,
Right.
and Dustin Hoffman.
That is an interesting choice and a good one
Yeah,
because you got three generations there.
that's right. You got grandfather, father, and son.
I totally forgot about that movie altogether. Like, I don't even know if I've listed that I've seen it on Letterboxd, but I know I have
Yeah.
a
See,
long time ago.
now you can add it on.
Yeah.
I told you there's a lot of movies that you saw that you didn't remember when you did
Yeah,
the
yeah.
yeah.
Right, right. But
Yeah,
yeah, what?
actually, I think we watched this movie way back.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really remember that much of it other than they were bank robbers, right?
Well, Sean Connery was notorious. He was notorious as a robber and stuff like that. And Dustin Hoffman, his son, uh, went straight after he served his term, and
Yeah.
he decided that he was going to bring, and then he had his son Matthew Broderick. So he went clean after that and went into butcher packaging business, meat packing business.
Uh-huh.
So he said he was raising his son, you know, so that he wouldn't commit any crimes.
Right.
So he's in college,
Mm-hmm.
almost graduation time, if I remember. And he hooks up with this guy telling him about some secret formula that'd be worth, he'd pay him like $1 million or something like for it.
Okay.
A lot of money. So then he talks to his grandfather about it. And
Yeah.
his grandfather's now all excited about it to get back into the business, and now, to perform this robbery with his grandson.
Right, right, right.
So then he tries to get his father to do it, and his father was like totally pissed that his son wanted to do this robbery. He
Yeah.
actually slapped him in a bar,
Yeah. Yeah.
But then he decides to go along with it to keep an eye on his son.
Ah, yeah. Okay. That's coming back to me now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go like all the way through the end and stuff, but it was a good, like you said, 3-generation bonding.
Yeah, yeah. That's cool. All right. I like it. So yeah, now my number 2 is probably what you're thinking it is, which is The Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
And I was actually thinking
Actually, it wasn't going to be Empire Strikes Back.
What's that?
It wasn't going to be Empire Strikes Back. It was Return of the Jedi. I was thinking.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking Return of the Jedi initially because it actually explored the father-son relationship even further.
Right.
But the big reveal of Empire is what made me choose that one, and I think it's the better movie overall.
I am your father.
Classic, man.
He's holding his hand.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it's basically the end of the movie that you find that out, but the 2 stars are in it for the whole movie, and then they all of a sudden, like within seconds, they have this telepathic relationship that they didn't realize they had through the Force. And yeah, I mean, it's just one of the most classic father-son relationships just because of how crazy it is of all time. So had to list it.
Yeah.
So is that your number 1, or did you not list it?
No, I did not list it.
Okay.
I tried to keep it off because we had Return of the Jedi before.
Right. All right, cool. So we may have nothing in common unless we share the same number 1. We'll see.
Well, I would think that we did. It's probably, arguably, the best movie of all time.
All right, let's see if it is. On 3, let's say it. 1, 2, 3. The Godfather. Yeah. All right. I don't think we've ever really talked about this movie much, so I wasn't sure if it is one of your favorites.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like I said before, it's arguably the number 1 movie of all time.
Yeah.
And if not, it's probably the number 1 trilogy of all time.
Probably so. I mean, yeah, it's funny. Actually, my top 3 are movies that I would say are like the best trilogies of all time. But Star Wars, Godfather, and Indiana Jones. But yeah, I mean, the original Godfather is just a masterpiece. And of course, Pacino and Brando, which again, like in Godfather Part 2, they kind of even explore that dynamic even more. But the original of like kind of handing the torch down to him, that's classic. Just that ending scene where the door's closing and Diane Keaton's looking in and like, oh no, this is not good. But yeah, I mean, just the music, the whole Brando is incredible in that movie.
Yeah, Brando was incredible in that movie.
Didn't he like stuff his face with like padding or
Cotton,
something to make
yeah,
it weird?
cotton balls to make
Yeah,
his cheeks cut, so
right,
you just be talking, you know.
right. And a breakout performance by Pacino, who was really an unknown at that time. Francis Ford Coppola had to like fight for him to play that role.
Yeah, it launched his career.
Oh yeah. And yeah, then you had what's his name played Sonny, James Caan,
Right.
lots of other great Italian American actors in there. But man, talk about one of the most intense scenes of any movie is when Pacino has to go to the restaurant and kill the two guys, and just the build up to it. You can see all the tension in his face, and it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
Expert.
that's right. I knew you had to have that as number one.
Yeah.
There's no way,
Yeah.
and there was no way that I could leave it off the list. I mean,
Okay.
only because it met my criteria of that we didn't discuss it on any of our top five.
That's
Well,
true.
although it might appear on another one. So
Yeah, like if we do best 70s movies.
Italian gangster movies or something.
Exactly. Okay, cool. Well, this is going to be interesting to see what gets cut out here because so The Godfather's obviously going to
You
be
say
number
number
one.
one, yeah.
So now for number two, it's either going to be Empire Strikes Back or I think that's got to be two over Family Business.
Not
Uh,
yet.
okay, Empire, and then so we'll put Family Business at three, and then I think Indiana Jones 3 also trumps Big Fish, but we can put Big Fish at five. And that's actually a really cool and interesting list.
Yeah.
I'm glad I put the ones that you left off high on my list. Otherwise, they wouldn't even make it.
No, they would have made it because I knew you would have had them on the list. And then what else did I have on Tron Legacy? I was thinking of.
That's a good one. Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? I made my list like a week ago, and then I saw somebody had on a similar list Back to the Future, and I didn't even think of that. But that makes sense because Marty McFly and George McFly when he goes back in time and
Yeah, when they're together. Yeah, I
yeah.
didn't think of that either.
And so I actually thought about changing my list because I love that movie, but I really wanted to have my two oddballs, Life Aquatic and Nebraska, on there. So
Okay. Yeah, well, the same thing that I wanted to, because I knew that you would never have my number five, which was Ivanhoe. That
right,
you never had that one.
yeah. One other honorable mention I thought about was Chef, the John Favreau movie where he plays the chef and is traveling around in the food truck with his
Right.
kid.
Okay, I didn't remember the kids in the movie.
Yeah, it was he was a young kid, maybe like 10 years old or something.
Okay. Oh,
Uh,
wait a second. Yeah, now I remember.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I love that movie, but that movie more makes me hungry than think about the father-son thing. So okay, so here's our combined list. We'll read it off. At number five, Big Fish. At number four, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. At number three, Family Business. At number two, The Empire Strikes Back. And at number one, The Godfather.
Yeah, I think that's a really solid top five.
Yeah, I think so too. I like it a lot. So sweet. Well, yeah, so I promoted Johnny Radio earlier, so now I'm going to make a point to promote our channel. If you like this, like and subscribe and ring the bell for notifications and all that stuff, because we got more coming. So next week, what will our topic be next week? Do you have any thoughts?
Actually, no, I wasn't thinking about it. I was like really struggling like all week to come up with this list because all I kept thinking about, was the movies that I was leaving off.
Okay. Well, I didn't really put a lot of thought into it myself either, but I thought maybe since we haven't done an actor yet, we could do somebody that we both really like, maybe like Jack Nicholson or something.
That's a lot of movies.
Yeah. So that would be cool to narrow it down and
All
see.
right, we can do Jack Nicholson.
All right. Yeah, and he's pretty much retired, so he's not going to have any new great ones coming out, I doubt, unless he somehow comes out of retirement. But yeah, okay. Top 5 Jack, man. That's going to be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I already know what the number one is. You're probably going to have it too. So.
Yeah, probably. But okay, so what was it? You were going to share your screen something with me?
Yeah, if I can figure out how to do this time.
Okay. Oh, look at me go. Man, look how little I was.
I know.
Look at you. Oh, the hook shot. Classic. My shoes look bigger than I am. Now this looks correct. So this is how good I was at basketball.
You made some good ones.
Yeah. Oh, is that the Honda? That's the Honda. That's awesome. Were we playing one-on-one or horse? It looks more like horse. Probably. Look at him go. This is classic, man. I had way too much energy. The good old Nicky days. Oh, so those were Reebok pumps. I remember those. That was that was the big finish, huh?
That was a big finish. You added the music to it.
Yeah. I couldn't hear it that well for some reason, but if you at home want to know, that was Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody mixed in there. So that's awesome. All right. Well, happy Father's Day again.
Yeah, same to you.
All right. Well,
happy Sunday.
Yeah.
That comes out twice as SON and SUN.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I love you.
Yeah, I love you too.
All right. I'll see you on the next one.